Hello everyone. In our previous video, we containerized a .NET Core Web API using Docker. If you missed it, check it out in the link given in the description. In today's video, we shall take a step further. We shall deploy that Dockerized .NET Core Web API into Kubernetes cluster all on your local machine, right? This is going to be a complete beginner-friendly guide. So even if you are new to Kubernetes, don't worry, we shall break everything down. So let's first understand what is Kubernetes. Let me explain with the help of a simple example. Imagine you are running a big restaurant kitchen. You have many chefs and many orders coming in. You need a smart manager who assigns tasks to chefs. Make sure everyone is doing their job. Replaces a chef if they are tired or sick and keeps the kitchen running smoothly. That smart manager is what Kubernetes does, but for your application. So by definition, Kubernetes is an open source platform to manage your containerized application, right? We say open source container orchestration platform. So it helps us to deploy, scale, and manage our applications without manual work. Kubernetes is often abbreviated as K8. Why we need Kubernetes? Let's say you build a website and put it in a Docker container. So what if traffic increases, right? One container crashes or you need to update your app without downtime. So Kubernetes helps you handle all that automatically. So it solves the problem by automating deployment, scaling, managing load, balancing, and self-healing process. What is self-healing? If some containers failed in Docker, so Kubernetes will launch new containers. So Kubernetes continuously monitors the health of your application component like pods using built-in controllers like replicate set controller, node controller, and kubelet on each node. Kubernetes compares the actual state with the desired state defined in your YAML file. We will see YAML file in the next part of this tutorial. If there is a mismatch, it takes action to reconcile the two. This is what makes it self-healing, right? So let's understand Kubernetes architecture. This diagram illustrates the full architecture of a Kubernetes cluster, including the control plane, worker node, and key components like pods, containers. So let's break it down step by step and understand each component individually. So first we see Kubernetes cluster. The cluster is the entire Kubernetes environment. It includes both control plane and multiple worker nodes. Think of it as the city where all Kubernetes operations happen, right? Next, we have control plane. It is actually the brain of the cluster. It makes a decision about scheduling, scaling, and responding to failures, right? It has some key components like API server, controller, scheduler. API server is actually the front door to Kubernetes. All commands like kubectl go through here, and then scheduler decide which node should run a new pod, and then controller manager ensure the desired state, I mean restarts failed pods, right? And then we have worker node. These are machines, physical or virtual, that run your application workload. And then we have pods. If a pod is the smallest deployment unit in Kubernetes. Each pod wraps one or more containers, right? We have some other components as well, like kube proxy, but I want to keep it as simple as I can. Okay, now let's see what are prerequisites of Kubernetes. You need to have a Docker desktop installed on your machine. You need to have .NET Core SDK. You may have Visual Studio 2022, and then kubectl CLI, which is Kubernetes command line tool. Right. Okay, in this tutorial, we shall use the same project we used in the previous tutorial, containerize ASP.NET Core Web API. Before deploying your .NET Core Web API to Kubernetes, we need to make sure our Docker desktop is running and Kubernetes is enabled. So let's verify it. Go to setting, go to Kubernetes and enable it, right? And apply and restart. So it's asking Kubernetes cluster installation. Installation takes a few minutes and require and enter extension. Okay, install it. It will take few minutes. Once we have enabled it, Docker starts setting up a single node Kubernetes cluster locally on your machine, and it begins pulling required Docker images from container registries like Docker Hub or k8s.gcr.io. Right? Okay, it has pulled all the required images and Kubernetes is also enabled. Apply and restart. Okay, now let's go back to our project and start building our Docker image. We shall use the same Docker file from our previous tutorial, right? So I go to the path where this Docker file is placed. I open my terminal here and provide Docker build command. We use latest tag with our Docker image name. So this will assign a tag, latest tag, to the image we are building. Dot mean build the image from the current directory. Okay, press enter. Okay, so it has built our Docker image successfully. So let's verify our image in Docker desktop. I go to images and see our Docker image is available here. Okay, here you see many images like registry.k8s, right? Actually, when we enabled Kubernetes from Docker desktop, Docker pulled all these images from registry.k8s.io. These images are actually system containers required for Kubernetes to function. Okay, our Docker image is built. Now verify if kubectl is working in our terminal. I give command like kubectl version client. So the kubectl is already installed on my machine. If kubectl command is not working on your machine, you can use either Chocolatey to install it or can use this URL to directly install on your machine. Okay, next we add to YAML file in our project to deploy our .NET Core Web API to Kubernetes. Actually, Kubernetes resources like deployment, services, pods, nodes, etc. are defined as YAML file. These act as declarative instructions. Kubernetes reads them and set up the system accordingly, right? Okay, let's start adding these YAML files. Right click on project, go to add, new item, select YAML file, give it name like deployment.yaml, add another file and give it name service.yaml. Why we added these two YAML files? Actually, when we run an application on Kubernetes, we need to define how our app should run and how it can be accessed. For this, we created two separate YAML files, each with a specific job, right? So let's add content inside these two files. So I already had this content, so I added it in this file. Similarly, we put some content in service.yaml as well. So let's understand this content between both of these files. Okay, deployment.yaml tells Kubernetes how to run the application, and service.yaml tells Kubernetes how to expose the app, right? If we review this content, API version actually using the app/v1 version of Kubernetes API for deployment. Here we are creating deployment object, metadata information like name of the deployment. Replicas run one instance of the application. You can provide here two as well to run the two instances of the application. Here we are giving label to the application to identify the pod. Then we have name of the container and Docker image we are using. Similarly, in service.yaml, kind service will create a service object. Here we are giving the name of the service. Here we are giving spec node port. It exposes service on a static port on each node, right? Okay, now we write kubectl command to deploy our .NET Core Web API to Kubernetes. So give first command like kubectl apply -f deployment.yaml. Okay, we are getting some error. This error usually means that kubectl is unable to properly communicate with the Kubernetes API server. So let's verify if Kubernetes is enabled in our Docker desktop and running. Okay, it is already enabled. Okay, I click reset Kubernetes cluster. So it is start pulling images again. So it will take few minutes. Okay, it has reset Kubernetes cluster. So let's restart this Docker desktop. And let's again rerun the kubectl command. Okay, this time it has created deployment. So let's provide the second command for kubectl apply service.yaml. Okay, service is also created. Okay, after applying both kubectl commands, we see many pods running in container section, right? So here I go on the terminal and I give command like kubectl get pods. So it tell me about the pod which is running. So it created a pod running .NET Core Web API inside a container. When I give command like kubectl get deployment, we see our EF core code first demo deployment, and I give another command kubectl get services. Okay, it shows the service which is running our .NET Core Web API application on this 30080 node, right? So our .NET Core Web API is deployed to Kubernetes. So let's verify in the browser. I provide URL like localhost and port number 30080 and press enter. So we see our .NET Core Web API is running successfully and deployed to Kubernetes successfully. Okay, previously I had used the term self-healing for Kubernetes. So what does it mean? Let's see. These are containers, right? I remove, for example, few containers. I delete it. As soon as I delete, Kubernetes is launching another pod. So it is managing failures gracefully. Okay, if we want to clean this deployment, we can just go back to our terminal and give command like kubectl delete deployment.yaml and give command delete service.yaml. This removes all the Kubernetes resources we created. That's it for today. So what we learned today is what Kubernetes is, how it manages containers, why we need YAML files, and how to deploy our .NET Core Web API using Docker and Kubernetes locally. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell icon for the more tutorials like this. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.